Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to Malrias's Musings. This is your host with the most, Malrias, and these are my musings. Fuck yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about Langella Dracula tonight and the progression of sensuality in Dracula movies. So in the novel Dracula, I always got the impression that he was just like the face of evil, like the face of the shadow figure, if you will. He went beyond being a vampire. You know, he was just this dark, demonic devil figure. That's the impression that I got from the book. And then you get into his sorcery and his vampirism, and he's just larger than life, you know. And then, you get to the Bela Lugosi, and Bela Lugosi plays him well. I want to do a video about this. Notice how Bela Lugosi fucking smiles in all of his scenes. That's some creepy ass shit, but moving on. Then you got Christopher Lee, which I didn't have as much exposure to, but I still feel you got like kind of a demonic figure with Christopher Lee, especially with like the demonic rites of Dracula. But then when you start to get to Frank Langella, which is the Dracula that I got introduced to, there's a very sensual element there. And when I say sensual, I don't mean like sensual, as I've said before, of the senses, but sensual as in like of the senses of that of an erotic nature. And we see it with Gary Oldman, but I was introduced to Frank Langella before Gary Oldman. And there is a very, he brings that, and if I may quote Godfather, that olive oil voice and that guinea charm, I can say that because I'm like a quarter Sicilian. Please forgive me for saying the G word. But across the board, he brings that to the character. This is like some kind of suave Italian vampire here. And then our next logical step would be Gary Oldman making it a love story. And once you make it a love story, then Gary Oldman's Dracula has to, especially in the wake of Return of the Jedi, the Gary Oldman Dracula has to be redeemed. He has to come back to God. And that wasn't a bad thing for me. It's one of the things that I fell in love with the character that young. Because remember, I was born, I saw it in the theater, but I was like 10 or 12 at the time. So I was still young and impressionable. So, I think Frank Langella's Dracula doesn't get enough attention for what he brought to the character. And I think we're going to talk more about it, but because I'm about to hit the 3-minute mark, but see y'all on the flip.